Hello dear friends, the Ides of March have taken effect. I have been censored from a talk show for making an imprudent comment about a bitter gentleman without sense of humor, which I have already deleted from the interview. They consider it a betrayal, and I consider it an imprudence of mine that has already been corrected. It's an occupational hazard. It's not a novelty, because I am used to it as a professional journalist. Bark, then right into the light. I must be right if I am so annoying, but the obstacles strengthen me and free me from a useless burden that took time away from writing my pieces and brought me no benefit. Forgive the people in your life, even those who do not regret their actions. Holding on to anger only hurts you, not them. Opinion piece. Cancel culture. Thought police. Bad times for the lyric. The movie is almost over. Restricted public debate. Opinions should not offend. Apotheosis of the single thought. Fashionable practice in social networks. Originated in Nazi Germany. It is a modern form of ostracism. No one has the absolute truth like religion. Everyone has the right to freedom of expression. Intellectual independence has never been popular. The new generations lack sense of humor. Elegance consists in not criticizing any colleague. Let's start. Throughout 40 years of experience as a professional journalist, I have been counseled many times for thinking differently, so I am quite used to it. It's part of the normality of our society to remove any human being who steps out of the official narrative of any media, channel or government. First, they don't spell you directly, but they get hostile or unfriendly to you or throw hints at you simply because they don't like your independence, that you don't marry anything or anyone. Behind it hides envy for having the ability to communicate and prosper better than them and create less enemies. I have never criticized another channel or another fellow YouTuber, even if I don't agree with what they say. And that is elegance. We are not here to criticize each other, but for each one to expose the information he has discovered or what he considers to be his truth, and let each one expose his own. That is to say, live and let live. The opposite would be interference and background noise that only creates confusion. That is why I have learned the lesson that every human being must fulfill his life mission in the most independent way possible, without letting himself be dragged by other people's opinions. It is impossible to be liked by everyone, but it is possible to back up all information with links, as I do. We already know that no source or news agency is perfect, and that there is always the possibility of mistake, which explains the need to update the information every day to expand, correct, or rectify, which rarely happens. Absolute truths are only given by serious historians based on documentary evidence. Honest journalists only give provisional news based on the events of each day. My news comes from agencies or publications, but the channeled messages are neither news nor dogmas of faith. but reflections of current events that everyone can use as advice is what they say resonates with them. I never publish a complete message, but only the most significant paragraphs, or at least those that resonate with me the most. As for the most difficult part, which are the various predictions, they belong to the author who issues them and not to the messenger who reflects them. That is why I sometimes publish different or contradictory predictions, because they are not mine, and everyone must judge the chances of success as a betting pool, because no one knows the day or the hour. I am not a spokesman for an absolute truth like religion, but for news that force you to think, investigate, and draw your own personal conditions. Definition. The cancel culture is a neologism that designates a certain widespread phenomenon of withdrawing support, whether moral, financial, digital, or even social, to those people or organizations that are considered unacceptable as a result of certain comments or actions, regardless of the truth or falsity of this, because these people or institutions transgress certain expectations about them. It has been defined as a call to boycott someone who has shared a questionable or unpopular opinion on social networks. The term cancel culture or cancelling began to be used in 2015, gaining greater popularity as of 2018. While it is a policy that has its origins in the early stage of Nazi Germany towards Jews and those who didn't participate in National Socialism. This phenomenon is likened to a pact specific to the digital world, in which some people agree to no longer support a person or news outlet. Liza Nakamura of the University of Michigan describes this culture as an agreement not to amplify, publicize, or give financial support, which she relates to the attention economy, concluding that when you deprive someone of your attention, you deprive them of their livelihood. Heterodoxy. To cancel means to cancel an appointment, to erase from memory, or to abrogate something, and to censor means to reprove someone, to murmur about something or someone, or to revile them. Censorship is a violation of the most elementary human rights, and is the intervention practiced by the censor in the content of a work for ideological reasons. Heterodoxy is also understood as the doctrine or opinion that doesn't agree with the only held by the majority of a group that would constitute the dogma, status quo, or orthodox position, and in particular, the one that appears to the vast majority as dissident, heretical, strange, or unusual, or even apart for what is acceptable and reprobated. In intolerant societies, with less freedom of conscience, where there are obligatory opinions or dogmas, heterodoxy is punished, and those who support it are scorned, silenced, marginalized, expelled from society, or made invisible. In the dogmatic religions sphere, it is called heresy in quotes, and in a certain sense, it is used by the famous 19th century Spanish Catholic thinker and scholar Marcelino Menéndez y Pelayo in his Historia de los Heterodoxos Españoles, where he analyzes the doctrine and ideology of thinkers who deviate from the cultural tradition of the Caesaropapism of the Roman Church. Cancellation culture, as defined by dictionary.com, is a popular practice of withdrawing support from public figures and companies after they have done or said something considered objectionable or offensive. The Macquarie Dictionary defines it in other words: the attitudes promoted or adopted by a community to withdraw support from a public figure, usually in response to a socially unacceptable action or comment. Both individuals and companies can be cancelled. People withdraw their support and, as a result, they are boycotted. One way to do this is to stop watching a series if a certain actor is involved, or to stop buying a brand's products. According to Article 19 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in quotes, everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Restricting the debate. In July 2020, a letter was published in Harper's by 150 prestigious intellectuals, including such illustrious names as Margaret Atwood, Noam Chomsky, Salman Rushdie, and J.K. Rowling, in which they warned about something they had been observing: a restriction of debate, and therefore called for preserving the possibility of good faith disagreement without dire professional consequences. Basically, what these thinkers were doing was to put on the table their rejection of what is known as the cancellation culture, or cancel culture, and they warned that this practice was on the rise. The Russian writer Fyodor Dostoevsky was cancelled by the University of Milano Bicocca in Italy, which suspended a course on him before reinstating it after a backlash. But the joke was on them, because Dostoevsky had already been cancelled, one might say, since he died in 1881. So the odds were pretty low that he had any involvement in the current conflict in Ukraine. The so-called cancellation culture, or cancel culture, is a modern form of ostracism or exclusion against someone who is considered to have acted or said something in an acceptable way. The cancelled individual, usually a celebrity, may be socially shunned or professionally boycotted. Public dissent seems even more forbidden than usual, but there are some ways to do it without getting scalded, such as the use of euphemisms that do not offend. It basically consists of a public figure saying something inconvenient and quickly triggers a reaction that seeks the cancellation of his person. That is, a series of boycotts to his professional work or to the platform that serves as a loudspeaker for his reflections, to his employers, etc. In short, it is an attack on your reputation. Debate. The so-called cancellation culture has opened one of the most complex and interesting intellectual debates of recent decades because, beyond its positive or negative aspects, it is a reflection of the profound change in the moral paradigm that society is going through in the 21st century. The new generations are not the least bit amused by jokes because they have no sense of humor. There is no way to achieve justice if we have to give up freedom in order to access it. Nor is there any way to reach reason, knowledge, or the minimum aspiration to understand reality if, along the way, we decide that only voices aligned with a cause or a preconception of the world should be taken into account. Absolutism, dictatorships, or thought and verbal expression, wherever they come from, have never achieved better societies in history. According to Jorge Soleil, the culture of cancellation is a vision of social and cultural life and mechanisms associated with this vision that justify the silencing, civil death, the expulsion from the sphere of what is acceptable of all those who do not conform to the guidelines of political correctness. Those who dare to express themselves differently are quickly denounced, and the media lynching is organized that turns one into someone not to be recommended, someone who must be expelled from the media and social networks, and that on certain occasions can lead to the loss of one's job. Rumors of war. First, UN chief calls for an end to Russia's upset war in unwinnable Ukraine. Antonio Guterres warns that the repercussions of the war could turn into a global hunger crisis. Second, Russia has failed to achieve objectives in Ukraine, says US. Third, as Zelensky reiterates his call for talks with Putin, Ukraine announces it has recaptured a suburb of Kiev. Fourth, Bulgaria warns of mines drifting in the Black Sea from Ukraine. Fifth, Pakistan suggests China and the Islamic States to mediate in Ukraine crisis. Sanctions. First, oil falls as it seems less likely that the EU will ban Russian oil. Second, sanctioning Russia proves too costly for the West. Rising costs provoke hoarding and protests in part of Europe. Third, dozens of Russian aircraft seized abroad. Fourth, Denmark will not integrate Ukrainian refugees, but will offer temporary shelter before sending them back to Ukraine. Fifth, Azores on alert for major earthquake and eruption as island continues to shake. Sixth, Venezuelan opposition pressures US not to relax oil sanctions. Cryptocurrencies. First, El Salvador postpones Bitcoin bond issuance, awaiting better conditions. Second, cryptocurrencies are a threat to governments. Governments see cryptocurrencies as an evolving threat that is seriously jeopardizing the future of their control over the financial system. Edward Snowden has said. Third, Russia could re-legalize cryptocurrencies. Fourth, the ruble stabilizes near 104 against the dollar. Fifth, Russia settles another dollar debt to get rid of them. Economy. First, Wall Street closed in the red on Monday, with Dow Jones down 0.58%. Second, the stock market jumps on Tuesday as tech and banking stocks rise. Third, European stock markets rise on Tuesday despite oil rally. Fourth, student loans brace for a rise in delinquencies. Fifth, storms threaten U.S. deep south after tornadoes sweep through Texas. Sixth, gold prices finish higher on Monday after suffering a loss last week, posting only their second gain in 7 sessions. Seventh, the Fed will tighten monetary policy. Spain. First, Brussels backs Spain's turnaround in Western Sahara. Second, slow truck marches return on 8th day of transport strike in Spain. Third, striking Spanish truckers reject €500 million subsidy offer. Fourth, Spain resumes repatriation flights of immigrants to Morocco. China. First, Evergrande announces it will not submit its annual income statement on time. Second, a China Eastern Airlines Boeing 737 crashes with 132 passengers on board. Astronomy. First, new solar flare. A filament magnetism in the northern hemisphere of the Sun erupted on Sunday morning, March 20. The explosion produced a C4 class solar flare and triggered the Type 2 solar radio burst and sent a shock wave through the Sun's corona. The coronal mass ejection is expected to brush Earth's magnetic field late today, Wednesday, March 23rd. Second, Mercury's surface may be covered by approximately 16 quadrillion tons of diamonds due to meteorite impact over a million of years. Third, the mysterious dwarf planet Ceres may have originated in the outer regions of the solar system, according to a study. Named after the Roman goddess of agriculture and fertility, Ceres is part of an asteroid belt that lies between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Fourth, our universe may have a twin where time runs backwards, scientists suggest. Multiverse, mirrorverse, parallel dimensions. There are many names for the idea that somewhere in the fabric of the universe there are other worlds different or conversely similar to ours. Fifth, scientists suggest the existence of an anti-universe prior to the Big Bang that goes back in time. If this new theory were true, it would mean that dark matter is nothing more than a new type of neutrino, which could only exist in this type of universe. Supernatural. Encounter with visitors. William Cooper says he was on a naval intelligence information team, had access to classified documents, and is a credible witness. His review of those documents revealed that visitors from the stars had contact with Earth. They had warned that Earth was on a path of self-destruction and wanted to meet to help bring about a lasting peace. Second, The Seven Sleepers, episode 5286 of Ancient Aliens, originally aired on March 18, 2022, and was titled The Time Benders. On Mount Pion Take once stood the ancient Greek city of Ephesus. The Christian and Marcelline story of the Seven Sleepers begins in 250 after Christ, when seven warriors professed Christianity just as the new religion was beginning to emerge. The Roman Emperor Decius offered the warriors the opportunity to recant and repudiate. Instead, they sold their possessions and entered the cave. In response, the emperor sealed the cave with them inside. About 300 years later, a shepherd broke down the wall, and the seven came out, and everything looked different to them, including seeing Christian crosses everywhere. They have experienced a 300-year change in time. The cave is known as the Cave of the Seven Sleepers of Ephesus. The Pleiadians in Barbara Marciniak's book, Bearers of the Dawn, claim that they went back in time to deliver a frequency to allow humankind to change and ascend according to the divine plan for the Earth Project. Spring Equinox by Patricia Diana Cota Robles. The beings of light, in the realms of enlightened truth, are revealing to us that a very positive shift is occurring within the hearts and minds of billions of humankind worldwide, as we watch with dismay the events unfolding in Ukraine. The divine I Am presence of each person is activating our inner knowing and remembrance of the oneness of all life. The accelerated awakening of the masses is now moving to the next level. This is creating the sacred space for an influx of divine intervention beyond the highest expectations of heaven that takes place during the March equinox. In 2021, the light Wekas co-created a quantum field of the very soft initial frequencies of integral divine love for the first time. That force field of light has been gently embracing the earth, preparing every particle and wave of life at the cellular level for the influx of light that has but bathed the earth during the equinox. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.